Greetings Internet, we're back because we want an answer to something, which is that, so this here Marshall, which was in a video recently, has four G12T-75s in it. Well, it doesn't now because one of them is out.
We stole it.
And we put it in here. This also has a G12T-75, so this is a fresh 2024 production Celestion G12T-75, which hasn't been used very much at all.
If the one video really.
This one has been in this Marshall
for, well, you can see the state of the cab.
It's been in there quite a while. It's a Brighton Electric studio or rental cab.
I think they do a bit of both. It'd be rehearsal, then studio, then rental. So it's had a lot of I would say hundreds of or thousands of hours of playing through it, to be honest.
With a JCM 800 on the top.
Good high power.
So it's been pushed.
It's been worn in.
So when we were doing the video and we were like, oh, we could hear the difference, and the barefaced cab thankfully sounded much better than the 4 times as big Marshall.
Yep.
But then we listened back to the video afterwards and we're like, the barefaced cab sounds a lot brighter on the mic than it did to us in the room.
Yeah, for sure.
And I thought, it's how much of that's the speaker. So we now have the speakers. So old G12T-75, new G12T-75. Davey set it up, we haven't heard them.
Should sound the same?
No, they won't.
Should not.
They definitely won't.
Let's find out. How different is the question?
So we'll start, I don't even know which one this is.
That'll be 1 and that'll be 2. Surely.
Well, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah?
So that's the new one. And we're going to try doing it without me with my bit of plywood, and Dave is going to magically put things up and hopefully we'll be able to tell the difference.
Alright, let's start with new, shall we? Get the perspective.
Just being an air stewardess. Right. The fire exit is there.
Initial thoughts?
Are you guys as confused as me?
What are you hearing?
I think the new one.
Yeah.
The problem is I know which is the new one and I know which is the old one, so I'm concerned that my knowledge of speakers and materials and all this stuff is affecting my opinion.
Yep. That's a fair point.
So I'll ask you what you think, because you don't well, you're going to have a different set of opinions based on your knowledge of stuff as a guitarist, but probably not based on the engineering, sciencey stuff.
No. Can you just switch me a couple of times?
Okay.
So, we're in new?
Yeah.
I thought instantly that the new one was brighter, but actually I don't think it's the case. I think the mids are tighter. That's flabbier, and looser, especially to the feel as well.
Then of course I can't tell the feel because I'm not playing.
That has more sag, drag, I don't know what you want to call it. Initially I was like, oh, it's brighter, but that's because I was thinking touch,
I think the new one does have a bit more brightness and air.
Yep.
I think the new one is tighter.
Yeah, 100.
The old one sounds looser. I think the old one's dirtier. We're talking small amounts. It's warmer. The old one sounds warmer.
Yeah, it is. It's just, for me, it's getting offset by the sag, which is a shame because it sounds really nice warm, but it'd be really nice to get the warmth from that with the tightness from that. Yeah. There must be a sweet spot with these, surely, where you've broken it in and it's still tight, but it's warm, and then there'll be a dying arc. I don't know. I
think the way speakers behave is quite like strings,
right?
In that you have an initial break-in period.
Yep.
They then last for a long time, and certainly what I find as a bassist is my strings. They break in, they sound great for ages, gradually getting mellower, which I don't think speakers tend to do. I think they tend to break in, stay the same for ages. And then with strings on bass, I find they then just go off a cliff at some point. They just absolutely turn into rubber bands. And
Same with guitar. They stop staying in tune. I notice if I do one gig too many, like if I go up here and do a chord like that, it's bloody like all over the place. Yeah. So maybe it's a similar thing.
But I think with speakers, I think they generally break in. Yeah. And then if they're used within their happy realm, I think they stay like that pretty much forever. But I think certainly, although this is a G12T-75, so 4 of them in a Marshall 412 should theoretically handle 300 watts. Yeah. That's only 300 watts thermally. Mm-hmm. And yes, the Marshall 100 watt head that's lurking around there, because I think it's got a dead valve, will put out maybe 150 full tilt. Right, okay. So it can't damage, it's unlikely to damage it thermally. You could if you tried hard enough, wrong. Right,
you break your head before you did that.
But you can definitely push the drivers further than they want to be pushed excursion-wise. You know, just, hang on, I'll grab a driver.
Yeah, explain that, because that's gone straight over my head.
So your speaker cone. Speaker works by being pushed backwards and forwards by the voice coil that's sitting in the magnet. PA subwoofers, car subwoofers, can move a really, really long way. Guitar speakers can't move very far. Spider, that's that bit there, that corrugation has very limited movement before it starts to distort, essentially, and get permanently damaged, and this tends to be even worse. The surround here has very limited excursion. That's the big difference between some of the low power drivers and some of the high power drivers, is that this surround here,
right, okay,
on like a Blue, just doesn't want to be pushed hard. If you push it too hard, it just goes beyond its happy realm and gets stretched permanently, essentially, and then it's out of shape. And then, I think if that's been a rehearsal studio or on gigs, and people have been, particularly if they've been down tuning, chugging heavily, you know, a lot of palm muting, a lot of percussive.
The kind of stuff someone that would get a Marshall 412 to use, right? It's not a Fender
Twin, I think they are eventually going to go off.
Sure.
Essentially.
I'm definitely feeling it. Should we do some more heavy?
It's a much more subtle difference than I was expecting based on the difference in top end. So I would suggest, if you listened to that and thought, gosh, the Bareface cab sounds thinner than I would like, I wonder if we've got an issue in that video with mic position, in that we're picking up more of the on-axis sound of the G12T-75 and the Bareface cab and less in the Marshalls. So what we've done this time, to try and make it as fair as possible, we've still got the JM47 down here, but we've also got 2 SE 4400s in cardioid variety, and we used them in the stereo video that's gone up recently. Yeah. I say recently, I don't know when you're watching this, but chronologically in our timeline of barefaced things, which may be, hello 2029, it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, so that should get rid of some of that, because it was noticeable in the video and it doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens in post-production. We don't really do any tweaking at all, but we're trying to find what's happening in the room.
Should we see if that thing happens that seems to happen with all drivers, where when it's clean the difference is less and when it's dirty? Because I wasn't listening for that time, and when it's dirty you hear the differences more.
Yeah,
that always happens when we do comparison videos between drivers. You notice the difference in the more when you...
Yeah, the more harmonic content.
Exactly that, all the overtones.
How loud are we in here?
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. I have earplugs in.
That's like, I probably maybe should put some in just about bordering level,
right.
I think. So yeah, let's see. I'll just go really heavy and we'll see what happens.
Okay, that's really obvious.
Yeah,
massively.
But it was just exactly the same as we were hearing before, though. It is brighter, tighter mid-range, more responsive. That's saggier. Is the lower end more pronounced, or is it that's tighter in the mids? Am I just hearing that?
No, I think it does have a bit more thump to it.
It's got more bottom, hasn't it?
It's got a bit more thump to it, and this feels like it's got another octave of treble.
It's really nice.
It's got a load of fizz. It's just gone on that.
I was on the fuzz there, which is obviously throwing that at it. But
that's really fizzy. Yeah. I think it's hard to tell, but I think that's got a little more bite lower down. It may be that the bite on the new driver is essentially being masked by the fizz, but on the old driver, the fizz I think there's a surprising amount going on way up there, like 6-7 kilohertz.
On this?
Yeah, on the new driver.
Yeah.
And I think on the older driver, that's mellowed out. And that would kind of make sense in that if you think you've got your voice coil that's, this coil of wire around a former, which may be nylon or cardboard, or they're various things. Okay. Sometimes aluminium in some drivers, but not normally nowadays. That creates a whole set of problems because of the... because it creates another magnetic field and eddy currents and stuff. That's pushing. If that's softer, all the little tiny movements.
Yeah.
Because if that is essentially this cardboardish tube.
Yeah.
If that's a bit softer, it's just not going to transfer the tiny little vibrations into the cone. And again, where it's glued onto the cone, if that glue joint's softened up, again, it'll vanish in the glue joint.
Because there's so much less energy, isn't it, up in those high
frequencies?
It's
very small movements, very small distances.
Yeah, because of the way.
Because it's going back and forth really fast. But
yeah.
Essentially, but the reason it's the low frequencies that move a speaker a long way is that if you put an amount of power into a voice coil, the voice coil, put in a given voltage essentially, or have a given current flowing because of that voltage, and the voice coil will accelerate at a certain rate of acceleration.
Okay.
But with a high frequency, it accelerates for not very long before it accelerates backwards.
Yeah.
So you put in... So if it's a 10,000 hertz signal, it accelerates forward for, a full wavelength would be, you'd be going forwards, and then, basically half the wavelength is going forwards, half the wavelength is going backwards.
Yeah.
So every
tiny.
1/20,000th of a second it would reverse direction.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually get to travel that far before it comes back.
So it has to react really quickly to transfer that energy, which it won't be doing when...
Whilst when it's pushing a long way,
yeah,
then and that's why it moves a long way at low frequencies, because it'll go forward, say it's 100 hertz.
Yeah.
It will go forwards for 1/200th of a second before it reverses direction,
much
rather
bigger.
than 1/20,000th. So it'll travel forwards for 100 times as long before it changes direction, which is why you run out of excursion. Yeah. It's acceleration, not velocity. That's the weird thing. It's acceleration, which then you can integrate to velocity, which they can then integrate to displacement.
Okay.
If you remember calculus.
I don't. Never studied.
You must have done it at GCSE.
I don't really did calculus.
Really?
I don't think so. No. I really don't know. I didn't do A-level maths either.
No, I'm sure it must. Anyway.
Should we chuck this back in the Marshall? We're going to put the new one in the Marshall and keep the old one in the Reformer and see now how that sounds against this. Because like Alex said before, we had the new G12T-75 versus 4 old ones in the Marshall. So let's mix them up and see what difference we have there.
Yes. And we'll leave that rolling and Davey can chop it out.
Davey can chop it out.
To stop it and sync it. Right. How fast can we change a speaker?